My schooling at the University of New Haven has taught me two things. One is that assessment is essential. Actually, one of my textbooks was named Assessment is Essential. And number two, that reflection is a vital part of the education process for both students and teachers. So I was confused when I read the superintendent evaluation waived. I understand that when you're not going to continue at a particular job, you might not think it's important to get evaluated, because most of that evaluation could be about that particular position. But it's always good, in my opinion, to find out exactly where your faults were, because it could be in cooperating, it could be in communicating with others effectively, or essential parts of the job. And to be able to differentiate where your weaknesses are could help you in the future. I feel for Kishimoto, who asked that there not be an evaluation of her work because her contract was not renewed. When something in my history didn't work out and I had to be evaluated on pretty much a day-by-day basis, I had 3 supervisors talking to me at one point in time, and then I went to another location for another supervisor with one of the previous ones. It felt like an assassination of character, and it felt so horrible that I broke down in tears, and I never want to do that in front of my students. So when I was at school and I broke down in tears, I asked, please make sure that the students get to their special. Please let me stay in this room and wait until they leave to grab my things. I cannot do this right now. So I understand how it feels to not want to continue with something, but you need to find out where your weaknesses are so that even in a new environment, you can still prosper as a human being, as a worker, as a person who's part of society. And that's just how I see it. No, I'm not a parent currently, but in my experiences with children as a teacher, a para-educator, a cafeteria worker, so many different things, and my experiences with my nieces and nephew and my boyfriend's son, I have found that children will always argue with you when you say no. Almost always. Unless they're a little bit older and they've been explained that it's not appropriate to argue with an adult. John Rosemond is a family psychologist and answers the parent question, what to do about when you say no and your child argues with you. And this is talking about a parent and a child dynamic. So it is a little bit different than talking about a teacher and child dynamic, but I still see some of the same ideas. And I'm sorry, John, I have to disagree with you. I think that it is important to explain if the child is developmentally able to understand explanation. That's the key. He didn't mention that. With Piaget's stages and Erikson's stages of mental development, if you look at a child who's 5, maybe they can, maybe they can't understand. If they're 12, like John pointed out, they're more likely to understand that if you tell them no, I argue with John because I don't like the idea of just saying because I said so. Because I said so is not a good enough thing. If you want children to be reasonable and to build their own knowledge of whys and hows and everything else that educators want and hopefully parents want, you should be talking to them about how to build that knowledge. Well, let's look at why you can't have the doll. What do you think are some factors of why I would say no about you having the doll? And then if the child can't think of any, maybe start listing some of the dolls there, and they'll say, oh, yeah, I do have a lot. Or show them the price tag and then refer them to how much a meal costs at McDonald's, something that they can understand and relate to. And they say, oh, yeah, that does cost a lot. So getting them to use their brains is the most important task. And I talked to my ex about us being parents, and I said if we were ever to be parents, I would not want the because I said so. It may be the easiest thing to do, but it's not the best in helping your child and student grow and mature as a thinker. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks.